What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Tone Nerds. Today we're going to be talking about the Big Sky and the new Big Sky MX. So what are the main differences, and should you spend the money on the upgrade? Let's get into it. All right, Micah, so we got the Big Sky. We got the Big Sky MX. You've had time with both. Obviously, ton of time with the original Big Sky.
A lot of time.
Yes, very intimate.
A lot of time.
Time with that pedal. But you recently got the Big Sky MX. You got the upgrade. You've now had it for, a couple months, a couple weeks, or whatever.
Yep.
What are the main differences?
There's kind of four things that I feel like for me are the big differences. Number one, it's a new processor, so more processing power and higher quality effects, higher quality reverbs. Number two, probably the thing I'm most excited about is there's actually an option to run reverbs in series or in parallel, so you can just get some really crazy sounds. It's just adding more colors to your palette, with creating those reverbs. Number three, there is a new infinite option. Well, there was an infinite option on the old one, but now there's actually a button dedicated to it on the pedal. So you can set that as momentary or latching. So it makes
nice.
Frees you up to kind of do some really cool stuff, the ambient world. And then the fourth thing is there's a couple of new reverb types that have replaced some old types. So gone is swell and gone is non-linear. And in their place is chamber and impulse, which the impulse is really cool. Some really cool features there, including the fact you can upload your own IR reverbs into this thing. So a lot of really cool new features, and I'm excited to get into it.
Let's do it. All right, so tell us about the infinite latch.
Yeah, so first, infinite latching. This is a really cool feature. There was infinite mode on the previous Big Sky, like I mentioned, but with the new one, the cool thing about it is if you go into the sub menu for any reverb you're on, you scroll down to infinite mode. You can still do freeze or infinite either way. If you want to latch it though, you can do momentary. That means this button here, you hold the button. As long as you're holding the button, it's going to be in infinite mode or freeze mode. If you do the latching option, however, now you hit the button, it stays on.
Oh gosh, that's so nice. I don't know how many foot cramps I got. Holding, just like padding for closing of a service or something like that.
And just adding some ambient.
Just like holding. I'm like, if I could just find a big rock.
Yeah, right.
You just hold this
exactly. Like, my foot itches. What do I do?
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's cool that you can just turn it on and off.
Yeah.
And you don't have to leave your foot on there, kind of like the original.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is really cool too when it comes to if you're running series or parallel reverbs, because you can actually set this infinite mode to only be active with one of the two.
Oh, that's cool.
So if you have a cloud reverb and a really heavy room reverb, you could hit the infinite on the cloud reverb, have it kind of just going in the background, and then continue to play arpeggios or whatever with just the room reverb.
Yeah.
So
that's one thing I wished I could have done with the original Big Sky, because if I was setting a pad and then I was holding the infinite switch and the pad, saturation was all the way up or whatever, then there's none of my guitar coming through. And if I wanted to do that, I'd have to have like a second reverb or something to go over, or whatever. But that is really cool that you can, with one reverb, hold a pad and then also continue to play over that and still have a reverb sound on that signal. That's really neat.
And if you're a guy who or gal who plays, who had a, let's say you have a Big Sky, but maybe you wanted to have that extra flexibility of having another reverb feeding into the Big Sky. You don't need that second reverb pedal now, guys. So you can actually do all that in the Big Sky MX. If you wanted to stack a cloud reverb into a cloud reverb in series, you want to run them in parallel, you can do that on the pedal. So really cool, and I think it potentially could save some space on your board because now you're not having to run multiple reverb pedals. You can get it all done through the Big Sky MX.
Pretend that I don't know the difference between series and parallel, because I don't. Because in my head, I just think stereo.
Yep.
So they're both like stereo signals.
Yep.
What's the difference between in series and in parallel?
Yeah, good question. So parallel means you have a stereo signal, you have left and right. If you run reverbs in parallel, one of those reverbs is going to go to the left signal, one's going to go to the right. So they're running literally like this. They're not feeding into each other, right? They're just one signal's going to the left, one's going to the right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, series is they're both running in the same signal, but let's say you have a room reverb and a cloud reverb in series. The room reverb signal is going into the cloud reverb. So you effectively have one reverb feeding into another. So, the example I said earlier with if you had two reverb pedals in the past, that would be an example of running in series.
Okay. So because they can like affect each other.
Yes.
Right. I feel like that creates a whole new wave of options.
Yep.
Because now it's not just the cloud, but what does the cloud sound like when feeding it into a spring reverb? Or what does the choral one sound like feeding? I think choral with like some kind of cloud or something could make
be cool. Yeah.
Some cool combinations.
The possibilities are endless. That's what's so crazy about it. Now the one of the things you got to be careful about running reverbs in series is it can get really muddy.
Yeah.
Really, like just washed out really quick.
I feel like one reverb already on like, if you got deep reverbs in, it's like that can already get away from you.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful not
it's like
let's go crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But let me show you guys real quick how to actually set up the series or parallel reverb. So in your menu, you're going to select the dual option. And then you have the option here. You can do parallel, series 1 into 2, series 2 into 1.
Dang, you can change which one goes into. That's kind of neat.
And there's a split option as well. So series 1 into 2, if we wanted to do that, then we could set it up. Now you see on the screen we got reverb 1 into reverb 2, and you also see over here, you see it how we have a nonlinear, and it looks like a cloud right now. So the one that's lit up brighter is the one that we're on. If we want to switch to the other one, just hit that button. And so this is our second reverb in the chain. We can change that to whatever we want, right? So we could do a cloud, impulse, whatever. So
that's cool.
Yep. So you can just basically cycle between those two. And then here it looks like you can change, whether you're splitting it, series, parallel, whatever. So, infinite. I keep saying this over and over again, but there are literally I feel like infinite combinations of things you can do and sounds you can come up with.
Infinite.
Yeah, it says it right on the pedal.
I was going to say, one thing that does scare me with these kinds of pedals is usually is it user friendly? Because I definitely err on the side of simplicity. Show me just a button to push. And this seems, for as much as it can do, it seems relatively user friendly as far as it's not a lot of deep menu options. It's just you go to, and it's 1 into 2. It all seems very
it's definitely, there's more there than the Big Sky, the original Big Sky. Yeah. So there's there's menus and sub menus. You got your menus here and then your sub menus, and there's more in there. But if you're somewhat familiar with the Big Sky and kind of how it operates, I mean, a lot of the things are going to be the same on here. You may just find them in a different spot.
Yeah, looks relatively like user friendly.
Yeah.
Once you get past the initial like learning curve.
Correct. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully you found this helpful. Really great pedal, really cool features. And really, you can't go wrong either way, whether you get a Big Sky or Big Sky MX. So you guys like it, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.